What's up guys, ModernGamer here. In the past few weeks, a ton of information has been released for the new Pokémon games Sun and Moon, and I noticed that one topic in particular hasn't been discussed much, that being the Z-moves. If you don't know what they are, the Z-moves are moves that can only be used once per battle per team. They require a Z-Crystal to be equipped on a Pokémon, a Z-Ring for your trainer, and a move that can match the Z-Crystal's typing. So far we know that there are at least one Z-move per type, meaning that there are at least 18 Z-moves in total. From the looks of it, they're intended to be insanely strong and potentially have multiple uses, like nuke attacks, setup moves on par with Geomancy, and maybe even some support moves. So far, there are two confirmed types of Z-moves. The first ones are assumed to be insanely strong attacks, which are meant to pick up KOs. The other type are fast-paced setup moves with multiple stat boosts. I want to note that the only confirmed boosting move is Eevee's Evo Boost, but there are likely going to be more like it. As for supporting Z-moves, I doubt that there's going to be more than one or two, if any at all. However, some of the attacks might have additional effects added onto them, which I'll talk about later, so there might not be a reason for the support moves anyways. In addition, there will also be Z-moves that are unique to certain Pokémon. So far, there are 4 confirmed unique Z-moves. Catastrophica for Pikachu, Stoked Spark Surfer for Alolan Raichu, Pulverizing Pancake for Snorlax, and Extreme Evo Boost for Eevee, which is at the moment the only confirmed non-attacking Z-move. I imagine there will be more unique Z-moves in the full game, but it's up to the guessing who will end up getting them in the endgame. The Z-move seems to be extremely strong, but just how strong will they be? There hasn't been a leak or official reveal put to the exact power of the Z-moves, but I expect they'll be something like this. I expect that the Z-moves will be similar to normal attacks and that they will have a set base power, probably somewhere between 100 and 150, but they could be higher. In addition, they might be able to cause statuses or have certain secondary effects based on the type of Z-move that you're using. I believe the Z-moves will function similarly to this because of the relatively high-risk, high-reward nature behind them, since they can only be used once per battle. Also, having a static base power makes more sense than having it be similar to the gems in Gen 5, since a Pokemon can apparently use a Z-move as long as it has any move, not just an attack. This also gives Z-moves room to have secondary effects, which might range from status conditions to modifying you or your target's stats. For this reason, I doubt there will be any purely support-based Z-moves, since they can easily give the attacks the same exact side effects. Now that we have a general concept as to how the Z-moves might work, you're probably asking how useful they'll actually be. For the VGC and doubles formats, I think the Z-moves will be fairly good depending on how they function. There are a ton of variables that you have to consider when looking at the Z-moves, such as their targetability, whether they're targeted or spread attacks, special or physical orientation, and how they interact against protecting Pokemon and redirection. I think it's safe to assume that most of the Z attacks will be single targeting, and are probably wasted when an opponent protects against them. As for the special or physical orientation, my only guess is that they will be based on the type of move being used, which will almost definitely restrict their viability to specific Pokemon. There's a possibility that it might be based on your Pokemon's base stats, but Pokemon with equal or very similar base stats might cause issues with it, so I think it would be easiest if they just made them based on the typing. Overall, I believe that the Z-moves will be a common choice for most VGC and doubles teams, especially if they do end up having the secondary effects. The ability to shift the entire state of a double battle with one attack is rare, and Z-moves look like they have that kind of potential. The usefulness of Z-moves in singles formats looks quite different compared to VGC and the doubles formats. I imagine that they'll primarily be used as wall-breaking nuke attacks, that is if they end up having a high base power. However, you're probably better off using a Life Orb or Choice Item over a Z-Crystal. More likely than not, they'll give your Pokemon more options and more consistent damage output. Singles formats are also generally slower paced than other formats, so single-use attacks like the Z-Crystals probably don't offer enough to be justifiable on most Pokemon. Nonetheless, there will probably be a niche for them to be useful, whether it's on specific Pokemon or in specific formats. To summarize what I've talked about, the Z-moves are single-use, high-risk, high-reward moves that can easily shift the tide of a battle into your favor. Most of the Z-moves will probably and note I say probably, be high damage attacks that potentially cause secondary effects like status conditions or stat changes. And just as an added note, there is some possibility that they could be more oriented for those secondary effects and might have less damage, but that's all up to speculation, so I think it's just safest to assume that they're probably going to be some sort of high damage attacks. The few Z-moves that do boost stats, like Eevee's EO boost, have a lot of potential, as entire teams and strategies can be built around them. More likely than not, Z-moves will be included in most VGC and doubles teams, given the fast pace of the formats. I strongly believe that if the moves are powerful and do have those secondary effects, I think they're just way too strong not to have on a team. And given that it looks like you can only use one Z-move per battle and in general on a given team, I think it means that most teams will probably include one anyway on their team. Now, for the singles formats, they will be a lot less viable, but they will have a niche that you can use in either specific metagames or on specific Pokemon. That's all I have to talk about for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please go and leave a like, as it helps me out a lot, makes the channel grow. If you want to see more videos like this as the new games come out and as the seasons progress, make sure to check out my social media and hit subscribe. I'm ModernGamer. Thanks for watching, guys.